The Silver Screen Project.
Welcome to the Silver Screen Project, where we look back at a series of films in anticipation of an exciting new cinema release.
In preparation for the new blockbuster Meg 2, The Trench, we went back and watched 2018's The Meg, which I believe you'd seen before.
Yes, this is the second time I've seen this. Yeah.
This was my first time seeing this. What did you think of The Meg?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah, I think I had slightly fonder memories of it than the reality of it. I think the sequel, from the little bits and pieces I've seen, seems more of what I'm kind of thinking, like all-out shark action. This has a lot of the kind of Godzilla problem of lots of human stories that don't really mean anything. What did you think about it?
Yeah, it was all right. There was bits I like, and the bits I was like, well, that's a bit silly. But it was just like a big silly film with a big silly shark and a big silly Jason Statham.
Yeah,
and it was
those
like,
bits are fun, aren't they?
Okay. I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't feel like gutted that I missed this first time around 5 years ago, but you know, I've seen it now, and
I think I watched it on like a bus or something. Yeah, it was. I've said about watching films when I was traveling in South America. They had little TVs in the back of the coach thing. So we watched it on that in like pirated quality, and that was great fun for a coach journey. Like a TV, plain film is. Yeah, plain films are better than normal films.
But there was stuff that like I thought was like fun because it was so silly. Like like the start bit with like when they're talking about Mariana's Trench, like, oh, it's got a cloud, then you could go for it. Yeah. It's so silly.
They say it's like a, what is it, like a super cold cloud of some sort of gas. Yeah. But why did we ever think it was like the ground then? It doesn't make any sense. Freezing cold layer of gas, they say. I've written.
Yeah, there's a lot of like the science of this, just like, okay, whatever. Rainn Wilson is fun.
He's pretty fun, like, a bit different to what we're used to seeing. Mainly The Office is what I'm used to.
And he's in an episode of Star Trek as well, where he's more of like a crazed villain, like maniac guy,
right? Yeah,
and he's fun in that.
Bit more similar to this, in a way,
but like obviously he was one of those, like, he's a billionaire and he's pretending to be nice, but like he's quite two-dimensional in a lot of ways. He just seems silly, and I was like, I'm here for this. And then obviously the bit where he gets eaten, it's just like,
the bit where they think it's the whale, they think it's the shark and it's the whale they killed, and then all the other sharks
fallen off the boat.
It's all a bit silly, isn't it, really? But like, I think like character-wise, cast-wise, I think Jason Statham, he's kind of just playing the same character as always. Yeah. But his little backstory with the bit at the start's mostly fun, I think. Yeah. I was a bit confused about what exactly had happened there, because it seems that he like shut off the valve or whatever, and then because of pressure or whatever, they all just like blew up and died. Yeah, see, but I thought like if he hadn't done it, they would have all blown up. And I was like, why is this guy so annoyed at him?
No, I think it is that, but it's because he left people behind. But one bit that kind of confused me about that is that like the Meg attacks him then, right? Like, he gets the big hit on the side of the thing.
Yes, yeah.
But they released the Meg when they broke out through the cold cloud.
They must have gone past the cloud. I don't know. Yeah.
Like, how did that first Meg get out?
I think they were under the cloud that first time. That
Then why were they like so like surprised at the start when they made it through the cloud?
Yeah, it's a good point actually. Yeah, very good point.
It really confused me.
I hadn't even thought about that. Yeah.
It is fun when the bigger Meg turns up, and then they've got the little Meg, and
and he kind of you relax a little bit, the posing the photos.
Yeah, and he kind of notices like the mouth isn't very big.
We saw the glass, and yeah.
And I was like, and then obviously the big one turns up, and I was like, oh yeah, that's fun.
That's a fun little bit. That feels kind of Jurassic Parky, and it's kind of tropiness of like, oh, there's always a big one out there kind of thing. It feels a little bit like that. I feel like other than Jason Statham, Rainn Wilson, as with every film that came out in 2018, Ruby Rose is in this for some reason.
Yeah, what like so I've got nothing against Ruby Rose.
I do for some reason. I don't really know why.
I think she's
fine.
But why, like, throughout this film, she got like 6 tubs of hair gel in her hair?
Yeah.
In like 2018. Why is she?
She had a look. Okay.
Why is she dressed like somebody who's in the queue for the Matrix Reloaded?
Because that's Ruby Rose's look.
Like, what's?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
And it's so like rock hard her hair.
It's hard and wet at the same time, and yeah, and and she's always just like a sulky hacker and stuff, and I'm just like, and she can't swim, or the other, so pretty much everyone can't swim in this from the seams of things.
Yeah,
we're jumping in and out of goods and bads, but like, I think like I do like how quite often with these films, when they go and get the retired action hero at the start, they're kind of living like a bit of a gross life, but it kind of seems like he was loving his life.
Yeah, he was just like, he was retired in Thailand, living on a beach. Like,
yeah, he was just drinking beers, he was riding mopeds around, he knew everyone, and it was just like, yeah. And I did like when they go to recruit him and he goes, oh, you're going to say this and I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's a bit of a trope. And then they go, but it's your ex-wife. And it's like, that's even more of a trope.
Yeah, it's like, oh, the retired like drunk is a trope, but he's like, oh, you're going to say this because they're being meta about the trope. Yeah. And then it's his ex-wife. He's like, I'm back on board. It's like, come on, you can't be self-aware of the tropes and then do a trope.
Or have a line after where they go, oh, look at me, I'm falling right into it.
Yeah. One bit that originally, so this one fell into good and then bad for me,
right?
Which was the little dog getting eaten by the shark, but then being alive at the end.
Okay, yeah.
I thought it was quite funny when the dog got eaten.
Yeah, me too.
And then at the end, I was like, "How's that dog still there, still swimming?"
Yeah, it kind of falls into even more stereotypes in that whole sequence there, because it's kind of doing Jaws a little bit. It's kind of doing all these kind of monster movies. I think some of that works, some doesn't. Like, I like the Zorb thing where the people are like running in them.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. I've never seen that. Like, I've done one of those things.
Have you? Yeah.
But like not in the water, just like And I thought that was really fun. And when it like pops and the little like tubing comes flying off, that whole Sanya Bay attack was good fun. Yes. It had the classic thing of like, oh, you know, sharks are pretty calm until like shit goes down and they like panic, which is what happens. Yeah. And it's just like seeing all the people. Also, that I never ever want to go to that beach. Like, it looks horrendous.
Awful. Yeah.
And like,
everyone's just fighting for room, and there's the platform thing, and everyone's just
and like it's so busy that it's busy up to a point where it's like 30 foot deep. So like, if you want to just like stand in the water, like
you got your shit out of luck there.
Like I'm not sure where Sanya Bay is.
No, I'm not. Well, I mean, it's pretty clear from a lot of this. They're catering to the Chinese market for about
I think
about
it might
half
be
of this
China,
film,
because they talk about the Chinese government.
And from the main cast, there's at least 3 of the research team. The father, daughter, and the granddaughter are all kind of Chinese stars, plus the people on the wedding party and all the kind of people in that chase, you know, mauling sequence at the end. It's fine. It's of that period where like Iron Man 3 and probably Fast and Furious, like they started to go, okay, we'll film like half of our film in China, getting like a kind of token
I think I've spoken about that before. The first time I noticed that was The Dark Knight.
Yes, okay, yeah. Which I feel like does it better than
it does, but
others.
Until you realise that like Batman never leaves Gotham except that one time he goes to China.
It's only because the guy on the TV was like, you better not come to Hong Kong, and he's like, I'm going to Hong Kong.
Before we go into it, the last bit that I was like, that's so dumb, I quite like it, is when the film ended and it came up Finn.
Yes.
And I was like, because you know, old films used to do that. It's a shark.
Do they do that in Finding Nemo? Am I misremembering that? So. No. Yeah.
One of the main things I took about this film though, is like it's 3 films in one. Like, it has 3 different like films and endings.
Yeah.
And like, I know people will be like, oh no, that's like the 3-act structure.
but
each one of those acts is its own film. It's a 9-act film. Because like the first film ends with like him coming back, saving the day, being proven right, and like saves the wife. That's a film.
And the doctor's like, oh, I'm sorry that I ruined your life. And he's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, like that in itself would be a film.
Yeah.
And then the second one where they're being hunted by the Meg.
And they're going around doing the fishing. And the bit where he swims it's pretty fun. He swims
and when he goes down and gets the woman from the cage.
Yeah.
That in itself is a film. And they kill the shark. But then the big shark turns up. And then we've got the third one where it attacks the bay. And I was like, I feel like I've watched a trilogy of these films
I know
in like 2 hours.
I had a feeling watching it that something about the pacing was a little bit off, and I was watching it with Amy, and at one point she was like, "Oh, have they already come out from underneath the thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, that happened like 30 minutes ago," but it doesn't. It feels like that's going to be the whole film.
Yeah,
and then it's not. I think she probably left the room and came back, but like she was confused because it set it up as that was the main thing, the rescue.
Yeah.
And then they talk about they opened a super highway for giant sharks, and it's like, okay.
See,
cool.
that could have easily been the sequel.
Well, apparently it is. I don't know. They let out more stuff or whatever. I don't know what this I think this is when he gets proved right to the guy. I've written down here, you may be a son of a bitch, but you're sure no coward. I think that's what the guy says.
I wrote down a couple of lines of this. That was a good one. And there's one bit where I think they say a couple of times, they say it's a good day to go fishing. And there's one bit where the plan, I think it's when they're planning on getting the shark and they're fishing, and they're like, if we're gonna go after him, we're gonna need a plan. And then Jason Statham stands up, the music swells, he goes, maybe we have a plan. I was like, okay.
Time to share, Jason, God.
And then the other one that I got...
He's called Jonas, isn't he? Which is good.
Jonas. I was like, that's random.
I feel like that's a fisherman name though, right?
Yeah. And then the other one that really made me laugh was when it was the final fight, when it was basically Jason against the shark.
Yeah.
And someone says to him, how are you going to kill it? And he says, evolution. I'm gonna make it bleed. I'm like, what's that got to do with evolution?
Yeah, I do feel I can't remember exactly how they end up killing it. I can't really remember, to be honest. They cut it like open or something.
Yeah, he like is swimming towards it. It grabs the thing, grabs the little bodies in, and he stabs it in the eye.
Yeah.
And then he like drags the spear like down the side of it. Even though earlier in the film, one of them's like, I know about sharks. I know that their skin's really hard. You have to get them in certain places. Yeah. Unless it's Jason Statham one-on-one fight with
the eye is a pretty good place.
Yeah, he like cuts him open and the other sharks.
Yeah, I remember it. Oh yeah. I feel like it the climax gets a little bit murky, and you kind of go, oh, it just kind of finishes there.
I thought it was quite funny how almost every single person in this film, apart from Jason Statham, at one point falls into the water like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, and they're just like either completely clueless or they're just splashing around like crazy.
Yeah,
there was some quite good stuff with not splashing around. There's a bit where the guy splashes. I think it's the doctor guy splashes on purpose so that the shark will come and.
Yeah.
But then Ruby Rose isn't using that time to leave. She just sits there like 2 meters away.
No.
Oh no.
Yeah, and there's the bit where the one of the guys like towards the end is like splashing, and the little girl's like, "Don't splash."
Yes, yeah,
like,
and she's actually sensible, which is good. Yeah.
And there was the dumb bit of people falling in the water. Another dumb bit was when all the helicopters turn up at Sanya Bay.
Oh yeah.
And apparently one of the pilot of one of the helicopters just not looking where they're going and just flies into another helicopter. It's like, what? And like, I get that the guy in the back is like filming like outside and stuff, but why is both pilots not looking at where
everyone's looking? Maybe they're looking at the shark.
But you can't see the shark. All you can see is a boat.
Who knows? I don't remember, to be honest. That's the answer to that. I feel like one of the things I wrote that was one of the things I wrote that was quite annoyed me was that like they do the trope of like tech malfunctioning so much in this. Like they've always got a plan, like, oh, I'm gonna flash my lights at the right time. Oh no, my lights have stopped working.
I'm gonna shoot a rocket. Oh no, the rocket's not working.
It literally happens like 4 times. And I was like, by the time it was in the final fight and they were in their little zoomy pods, and they had to.
Yeah, where have they been for the last hour and a half?
Or I don't know, something. Yeah. Well, they did. The daughter that's kind of the love interest for Jason Statham, not the kid.
Yeah.
The daughter of like the lead scientist guy. She just suddenly decides, oh, I'm gonna go down in the pod and just like risk my life because my dad hasn't come back from recruiting the guy yet. And it's like, fucking wait half an hour. Like that was an annoying bit at the start.
Yeah, and he's there like the same day.
Yeah, he literally gets there after she's just left. And it's like, fucking wait a second. Yeah. I feel like the cast was like okay, but it was a bit tropey and kind of stereotypy. Like the crew was like, oh, there's like the black guy, there's like the big nerdy guy.
The two nerds that went down at the start who were just like sex. I was like, oh,
and like
please say these people die.
When the guy, it's the guy from Heroes, is the Japanese guy. And when he's like writing his note to his wife, it's like, well, you're fucking gonna die then, aren't you? Jesus Christ. And like, and then the main thing I didn't really like is the kind of the love story is not like too over the top, but it keeps coming back to this thing of like he's gonna be the new dad for this little girl, and it's supposed to be cutesy, but it just didn't really work for me.
Yeah.
And the fact the ex-wife's there going, oh, it's fine, like do this, we don't love each other anymore or whatever, and it's like, I don't know, maybe that's for people who have kids or something. I don't know. It's just not...
one other thing that I thought was a bit odd is like compared to other. So it's basically a monster movie, isn't it? You got a giant monster killing people. Unlike most monster movie, at no point does anyone feel sad for the monster. Like,
considering
everyone is always just 100%. Let's kill it.
I think whereas, like, at one point somebody is like, maybe we shouldn't, but it's not like even
it's
like...
kind of blown over. But it's like this is the last of its species, maybe, and it's like lost and like helpless, doesn't know where it is, and everyone's just like, kill it, kill it. And like,
they don't try and like capture it or anything, or they mention about like tranquilizers at some point, but then the doctor is immediately like, put in enough to fucking kill it.
I just started to feel bad for the Meg towards the end, because it's like,
it's just a shark running around.
It's just a shark, and it's just being like attacked constantly. Like,
no wonder it's like frenzied.
And like we see it at like Sunya Bay at the end that like it doesn't attack people until everyone panics about there being a shark.
Exactly.
Like if you just, it will go eat a whale, like
it would, they should just. Well, actually, that bit's quite cool when there's the family of whales are introduced, just so they can just be like the first thing it eats. And we mentioned the marks on the glass, the teeth marks. That's quite a cool image. And
it's a cool shot.
I'm pretty sure it was in posters and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
and I feel like the whole underwater base was just put in the film to have that shot.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I thought it was silly that Jason Statham one-on-ones the shark and wins.
I mean, from the poster I saw of the new one, I think he has a sword and tries to fight a shark in the new one.
Of course he does.
Quite happy about that.
Of course he does. One last other little thing. I thought it was really funny when one of them was explaining what a megalodon is to the team.
Right.
They had a funny silly little animation of a shark swimming along and turning to the camera and like eating it. And I was like, this is meant to be like a proper like serious talk, and it's like a silly game animation.
Doing like the Jurassic Park, like Mr. D. But then that's for a park.
Yeah.
What's
up with this? But I've got a few bits of trivia. Firstly, in real life, Jason Statham is an expert swimmer.
Yes. He was an Olympic diver, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't.
Oh.
He was a Commonwealth diver. He competed for England at the 1990 Commonwealth Games.
Lovely.
Footage can be found online. He also, around the time, lived with former footballer Dion Dublin, who
gorgeous.
You may or may not have heard of.
No. I mean, it sounds familiar, but
yeah. Did you know this was based on a book?
I didn't know, but I'm not surprised, to be honest.
It's based on a book called Meg something Trench or something.
Meg 2 the Trench.
No. But there's a few bits of trivia comparing it to the book.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Which makes it look like the guy who wrote the book put a lot more thought into it than the filmmakers.
He's definitely got an IMDb account.
So in the book, the megalodons are pure white, almost luminescent, from living in an environment with virtually no light.
That's cool.
This colouring provided too difficult to render in CGI while still looking realistic. Yeah. So they were just given the same colouring as great white sharks, greybacks and pale bellies. Yeah. This wouldn't make sense in a place that's got no light.
No.
I also thought it was funny that like when this shark who's lived its entire life at the bottom of the ocean, as soon as it's released, starts putting its fin above the top of water like a normal shark. And I was like,
and has no light sensitivity.
Yeah, why would it think to do that?
I think that's just how they swim, just under the surface. I don't think it's necessarily...
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been used to doing that down the bottom. The other one does say in the book, the Meg only attacked at night since living in deep water made it sensitive to light.
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense.
It only attacked in daylight when it had been blinded in the book.
Right, okay. I mean, it does look good a lot of this, like the big shots of it under the surface and all that. It wouldn't look as good at night necessarily.
Yeah, the shark just doesn't make much sense.
But if it's bright white and it's nighttime and you made it almost slightly glow in the moonlight, it could be a pretty cool.
And the other one is how and why there are megalodons are believed to be a shallow water predator in a deep sea trench is never explained in the films.
Nope.
While the novels go in depth with their evolution into an abyssal species,
right?
They migrated to the heated hydrothermal vents to escape the ice age. In the film, they're just like big shark.
I don't know. There's a big shark down there.
Yeah, I feel like if you were, I mean, I don't think the book would have been like bloody, like something incredible. Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, bloody Lord of the Rings.
But I feel like if you'd read the book before seeing this, you might have been a little disappointed.
Yeah.
It sounds like they do like try and make the Meg fairly realistic.
Yeah, and that's always nice. I mean, you've read the Jurassic Park books, and
that's
a bit more like that. And the films aren't super like
but the books do have like pages and pages of Michael Crichton's philosophy and theory in there. If you like that kind of stuff, But so that is the Meg. So the only thing left to ask is whether this got you more or less hyped for Meg 2, The Trench.
Overall, I would say it's a prog-yes. I wouldn't say it's as prog-yes as I expected. I was kind of expecting to go into this, finish this, and then be like, cool, I'm loving to see the Meg 2. I'm loving to see the Meg 2. I'm still excited because I think it's going to be what I wanted out of this review, but not to the heights I was expecting.
Review, not review. We mispronouncing
review. Your review just really didn't hype me up. How do you feel about it?
Well, before I watched this, I kind of had no interest whatsoever in seeing Meg 2. And after I watched this, I've got a little bit of interest in going to see Meg 2. This is if we weren't doing it for this.
Yeah.
If we weren't doing it for this, I never would have watched Meg 2.
No.
So I guess it's slightly more hype. So I guess it's a project.
It's a
like the most minimal project anyone could ever give.
Yeah, I feel like we're both a little bit like that. So I'm probably a little bit more. I would have considered seeing. It's a busy time for cinemas. If I wasn't doing this, I wouldn't go see it in the cinema. If it was during a time where there was no films on, I probably would have gone to see it. But you wouldn't, so.
No, probably not.
No, it's fair enough. I still got to see Mission Impossible, so.
But that is the end of this. Thank you for coming along. We'll be back next time to do Meg 2, The Trench.
Yeah, and if you like this, check out the Project, which is on the same podcast channel. Woo! Thanks, bye.
Damn it.
Blub, 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 blub.